Julia Walker.
Present.
Kathleen Shaw.
Present.
Sarah Holm.
Here.
Brianna Higgins.
Here.
Brian Callahan.
Here.
Andrew Boger.
Here.
And Mayor Raden is not coming.
Okay, can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. So if I could have a motion to postpone the vote on the warrant till item, I guess, after our district improvement plan presentation, just so that people have a chance to review that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So we'll hear, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll hear the warrant after item 9. Ms. Yell. Okay, next item on the agenda is meeting minutes for September 2nd. Anybody have any questions or want to make a motion to approve?
I had one thing for a correction. Under the public comment, Liz Walsh address is 4 Virginia Lane, not 7.
Okay. Any other additions? All right, does someone want to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next item on the agenda is our overnight field trip for grade 7.
All right, at this time, I'll call Mr. Marcos.
I did notice that I skipped over public comment. Sorry, everyone. So actually, can you hold a second? Because I skipped over public comment. Sorry, apologies. Is there anyone who would like to, who is signed in or online, who would like to speak for public comment? And if you're online and want to raise your hand virtually. All right, apologies. No public comment, proceed.
Great, thanks everybody. Welcome back, I guess, for me too, being here. So we have our Camp Jewel trip, which was a huge success for us last year. Really the only thing that's going to change are the dates for the trip. You can imagine, I wish we could have the trip every day because I probably got 60 plus positive emails from families, literally moments when their kids got off the bus, which was awesome. And, you know, obviously anytime as a principal you send 150 some odd kids overnight somewhere, you get a little nervous, you get scared. And the trip was just an awesome experience. And I saved all those emails just in case Mr. Gallo wants to read them one day. But yeah, overall, it was a great experience, great job from our teachers. Obviously, a ton of work goes into these trips, and we're up for just another great experience. So, you know, going back down to Colebrook, Connecticut, our tentative dates are June 10th, 11th, and 12th, so they'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Very similar offerings. The camp itself has done they've already done outreach, taken surveys from our staff and students. We did that right when we returned to see how they could make the experience even better. Couple of hiccups along the way. I mean, it was really hot down there, so there was definitely a heat acclimation for some of our kiddos. So a couple of kids did have to go home early. That's just the unfortunate reality sometimes with those trips. Not because of like heat exhaustion or anything, but they were just really overwhelmed. So we did send, 2 students chose to go home early. But other than that, I mean, I think the trip overall was just a major success for us. So again, similar offerings. They'll work with our 2 kind of camp directors or overnight trip grade 7 coordinators just to make the experience even more positive for our students. I'm not sure if there's any questions or if you guys work through the presentation.
Any questions for Mr. Marcos? Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Boger.
Thank you, Ms. Marcos. This is fantastic. I'm really good of you to do this initiative last year, and I'm so glad you're doing it again. I mean, this is, in some respect, Member Hall and I were talking about, because she's sort of a experiential education expert, so we were talking about how valuable this is and how cool it is. So concern is not the right word. It's more like interest. I was wondering if you could articulate, because I mentioned this last spring, or whenever we approved this last, that I'm kind of pro-school. Like, I know it's a controversial position. The seventh graders should probably disagree with me, but so sometimes, in my perspective, sort of more is more. Like, I like it when the kids are in school. So I was wondering how your staff talks about like how 3 days off aligns with the curriculum, and maybe these 3 days we're doing something else prior that I don't even know about. So.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, as we look at our maps, really, we have 180 days, but when we plan our year, these are factored in at this point. I think the good thing at this point, we're winding down, which is a good thing. But from a curriculum standpoint, there are things in science classes and there are things coming out of this trip that they'll continue to do when they return. So there was some reflection, obviously, which was like their last kind of ELA short write that came out of it. But all of this is kind of planned into our planning maps, just like when we have a pep rally and classes get condensed. So when our teachers are looking at the full scope, they're realistically probably planning 120 to 140 days versus the 180 days that are allotted because of things that come up.
Okay.
Yep.
No, that's great. I figured it was integrated, so thank you for
Yeah.
talking about that. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a follow-up to that. Are the dates set by the availability for Camp Jewel or driven by our?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So they were already booked pretty much through May. So they book about a year out. So we had to look at our calendar at that time, work with our seventh grade coordinators, and these are the dates that we've landed. So they're kind of penciled in. We might have some wiggle room prior or a little bit later. But just with kind of everything out with MCAS, looking at MCAS, and then when we look at our grade 8 trip as well, trying to position ourselves because we do have some teachers that go on both. So again, we don't want teachers out away from the classroom for 2-3 weeks at a time, at least not going back-to-back weeks as well. So kind of look at the whole calendar as we started that process kind of March, April, as we started to plan ahead. If this was a success, where does this land next year?
Have you ever thought, would there be a consideration of doing it at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year?
Yeah, we've always kind of dabbled in that. I think the challenges are we don't know the students yet. So again, just being able to foster that relationship for the whole entire year and end this way. We have moved the Project Adventure trip for 6th grade earlier because that's a nice little team building, but that's still in November. So, and then being able to just experience what we need to experience there, springtime just makes the most sense right now for what they're offering.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
one question. It says daily meals are provided, but if you have special dietary needs, there's a fridge and a microwave.
Yeah.
They're not able to accommodate like gluten-free?
They can, yeah. So if they accommodated, we had, you can imagine we have a lot of dietary restrictions and needs. They were able to accommodate every single one. But if a child wanted to bring their own meals, they could store them there.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If
I
it was just
wanted-
personal preference.
Oh, okay. All right, great, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions?
I know we discussed this last year, but that was, in advance of the trip. How does it work out in terms of accommodations for children who maybe have, behavioral or other, mobility, different kinds of
Yeah.
issues like that? Are there ever, and this is sort of a part two, but are there children who stay behind, and what kind of opportunities do they have if that happens?
We never want to keep a kid back. Obviously, if there's any behavioral concerns, we may have some conversations throughout the year with families, and the reality is take out the behavioral concerns, take out anything like that. We just ask the parents, like, your child best. Is this overnight trip appropriate for your child right now as a 12 or 13-year-old 7th grader? And some families make that decision. You know what? You're not ready for the trip. So we found last year that a few, not because of us, but because families made the decision, a few more 7th graders stayed back than our typical 8th graders go and stay back from our overnight trip there. With that being said, we do create an at-home experience as well. So we market it as, hey, you have the overnight experience and you have an at-home knock experience. And we'll start that conversation at open house with our families, both in 7th grade if approved and in 8th grade. And they've got a whole year to kind of plan this as far as, is your child going to be ready? And they put the deposit down. Most families will get insurance. We fully refund families that make the decision. We did have a family last year, a day before the trip, say, you know what, my child's just not ready. They don't feel they can do this. So we never try to keep it back. In really tough situations, we may keep a child that can't keep themselves safe. If they can't show kind of meeting expectations in the cafeteria during structured time, we then put some things in place to support that child through the school year. And then again, we may have some tougher challenges and some conversations with families, but that's few and far between in the 5 years I've been here.
Great. And so what does the programming look like for the students who don't go on the trip?
Oh, so last year, last year they did some pottery classes. They went to Metro Rock. We were trying to get kayaking, but with such a small group, it wasn't. So the Philadelphia trip is a little bit more kind of comparable, where we can find some local things to make it more historical and tied into standards. This trip last year, being the first time with the grade 7, was a little bit more challenging. But they were to go, I forget the place, but they were to make ice cream one day. They did a pottery class in Metro Rock, I think, with the 3 experiences, with some lunches around town as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Marcos, I think you got that. We ask you this question often, but I think it's fair repeating. It's just the accommodations for folks who can't afford or have financial struggles. I think we often hear from families that they get a lot of fundraising requests.
Yeah.
It's just a constant,
Yeah.
and I understand that, I can relate. Can you just speak a little bit to what you guys do in terms of providing financial support?
Yeah, so we've never turned a family away. Typically, we'll send out the cost of the trip is X. If you can pay full, great. If you need any financial assistance at all, please let us know, and we don't ask questions further than that. We just had a Mums fundraiser, which is really successful. The funds that we raise will go into the scholarship fund, as well as we had a pretty successful March Madness basketball game in March, again, to support both trips. That was half the proceeds went to the grade 7 trip and half the proceeds went to the grade 8 trip, but we'll never turn a family away because of financial need.
And you accept direct contributions to that fund as well, if anybody who's watching would like to contribute, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense, ballpark, what percentage of folks take advantage of this?
Yeah, I do. So last year, I believe it was 14 students total. So I don't want to step ahead, but do you want the numbers for both trips or just the grade 7?
We can just talk about the grade 7
Sure.
trip. Yeah.
So grade 7, we had 146 students attend, and roughly 15 students, about 10.3% of students, received some sort of financial assistance.
And the students that opt, sorry, Mr. Boker, did you have any more? The students that opt not to participate, have you ever had an indication that there was a financial reason behind that?
No, typically it's just a personal family matter, like
Yep.
they don't feel comfortable sending their child overnight, or just maybe they don't think their child is ready.
Okay.
Yeah, and we stress it at open house, and we stress it through communication. We try to keep it as private as possible. Just please let us know. We want our kids to go on this trip.
Great. All right. Any further questions about the 7th grade trip?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
one. In terms of, students, high-need students around behavioral head, is there an option, either, written into their IEP or their 504 to have instructional assistants also attend, and how does that look?
Yeah, so we're obviously, we're not going to go out of the team process, but if a
Right.
child ever needed that, we would certainly get that into the IEP.
Yeah.
And if it already exists there, we'll certainly support a student one-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the staffing overall?
It's usually 10
Newburyport?
to 1. Yeah, so it's 10 to 1 on the trip.
On the trip?
Correct.
Okay.
Last year, I think we were a little bit better with the ratio. We sent an extra staff member
Yeah.
because we did have a student that needed some special attention.
Okay. And what's the staffing at the camp?
They have additional 10 staff members, so they have their camp director, and that's not in the equation. They have 10 other directors that are there, so the ratio is actually essentially half. They've offered for their staff to stay with our students actually, but we just feel more comfortable keeping our staff, obviously, in the cabins and setting up and making sure our kids are safe throughout the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the ratio there is fantastic.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Anything else? All right. So I'll accept a motion. Wording can be to approve the overnight field trip for grade 7 to Camp Jewel. Proposed dates would be June 10th, 2026 through Friday, June 12th, 2026, with an estimated cost of $400 to $475 per student, consistent with policy JJH.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the vice chair votes aye. Okay, the next item is the field trip for grade 8.
Yeah, so we're back at it in Philly. I think this is year 4 for us. Great thing is again, just that connection with Global Citizen, and having Jeffrey Hilly has been a great asset for us in the community. Lots of experience, obviously. So that trip right now is tentatively scheduled for May 19th, 2021. We have a meeting with Jeff coming up just to finalize that date. Again, very similar kind of departure and schedule. As we get closer, to like December, January is where we start to fine tune. We just found out Major League Baseball schedule just got released. The Phillies don't have a game, so we're looking potentially as like a Major League Soccer game that we could potentially do. If there's not a sporting event, what else can we do? So that's a great thing of just having kind of boots on the ground with Jeff. He knows the city very well. He kind of knows some of the other attractions. So could we maybe go to a play? Could we maybe go to something else than a sport, other than a sporting event? Because obviously the Phillies are not in town. So again, these will, most of the itinerary items will be very consistent with what they did. The great thing last year is we were able to make it to an additional 2 museums within the trip, which was great. Students really enjoyed that. And the cost right now is the same as last year, which I believe is $1175. So no increase on families, which is great from year to year.
Okay. Can you speak a little bit about the organizer of this event?
As far as the partnership with Global Citizen?
Yes, it's Global Citizen is the organizer. I didn't know if you had mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's just not in the materials, so I just
so
want to
Global
clarify.
Citizen, we partnered with them for the last 4 years. The person that we work with is Jeffrey Hilly. Jeffrey Hilly's a parent in the community. He has, I believe, a student at the Bresnahan of the Mullen. Just been great to work with. Prior to COVID, we were working with another company. The trip was still good. But we always kind of ran into things, whether it was the quality of food or the busing, and it was tough from year to year to keep up with kind of some of the challenges. The first year, right away, when we had some challenges with like one of the buses didn't have, I think like either connectivity or Wi-Fi, Jeff was like, hey, midway through, can we get another bus out here? So just having that connection with him, obviously being a Clipper himself, was just a really positive experience for us. And then from year 1 to year 2, we saw an upgrade in buses without the cost of the trip going up. He was able to get us into another museum for about the same exact cost. Which was great. So just being able to have him with the relationship we have, and then again, just a shout out to our trip coordinators again, just constantly on the phone with them, and just making sure like every detail, every I is dotted, and obviously every T is crossed.
Great. And just another question, and I'll ask others. When we took a pause during COVID, I know there was some, I can't remember if we started right up after COVID or we took a pause for another year, but I know there was some survey to parents. Do we do that on a regular basis to find out if there's general interest in continuing the trip, or do we just sort of assume, based on positive feedback, that we're going to continue?
Yeah, I would say it's very similar to the Camp Jewel trip almost immediately. I feel like the community speaks very loudly in the sense of like, hey, by the way, like I can't wait till my child goes, because they're only in 5th grade.
Okay.
So we do get an abundance of emails, positive emails that we did take a pause that first year coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
So this would be the 4th year of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we shifted, I think part of that, we also shifted from DC to
Correct.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's just it's a much more manageable trip with the distance.
Yeah.
Also, the trip is 1 day shorter, and the cost is significantly lower as well with the extra trip, the extra travel, the amount of gas. There are some area schools that I've reached out to over the past 2 years, not this year because we've kind of set the stage that we're going to Philly. The DC trip for many families is over $1,800 with the additional day, the extra travel, the gas, the expenses, and that's with most of the museums, obviously, in DC being free.
Yeah. Okay, great. Other questions for Mr. Marcos? Yeah?
Hey.
Totally tangential question, because the trip is great, and also just the experience of being overnight is great for them. Do you know, or superintendent, do you know, is there at what grade level do kids go to Boston on the Freedom Trail, the Black Heritage Trail, the MFA? Like, do they do those things? Is that built in somewhere?
I know one year, I think when we were coming out of COVID, we did a Boston trip. We kept everything local. I know the high school, I believe the high school history department goes into Boston. But I'm not sure if it's a whole grade. I don't think we've done a whole grade into Boston.
I know that we go into Boston for the State House.
Yeah.
When they're into their government and politics unit.
Okay.
So typically we spend the day there. Last year we kind of comboed with the Suffolk College trip in the State House. It was a kind of a combo trip that worked out well. But I don't think we've done the Freedom Trail since I've been here. I'm not sure what grade does that.
I feel like that's really something to consider. I mean, we have just, and I know it's for the kids, it's way more fun to go to another city and stay in a hotel.
Yep.
But we have such cool things around here. I mean, the Freedom Trail, is like incredibly historic. The Black Heritage Trail is, something that not a lot of kids get to see. The MFA, I'm sure it rivals a lot of the Philadelphia museums. It's not that I'm trying to replace it. It's just, it would be great if our kids got the opportunity to go. It's just kind of a shame if they go to a Massachusetts public school and don't do some of those like really iconic Boston things.
Yeah, and I think some of we've tried to incorporate some of those trips to mirror our at-home trip. The problem we run into is like it becomes a little bit of a staffing issue where a 7:30, 2:30 day. You can imagine where most of the museums don't open up till like 9 or 10.
Right.
By the time you get into Boston now, we're in there for only an hour and a half. So those are some things that we've definitely talked about including it. Again, so there is a more direct correlation between the two trips.
On late day? Like, could you get the kids home at like 5, or would that be against contract?
We could, but then it said we'd have to look at the contract and
Okay.
get that approved. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's things we've definitely explored, and it's definitely something we always put it back on the table as far as what does our at-home trip look like this year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, other feedback? Yeah.
Can you give us the picture about financial need for this trip? Obviously, it's quite a bit more expensive.
Yeah, so last year we had 153 eighth grade students attend, and 10.8%, about 16 students or so requested financial aid. All of it, some of it partial. Yeah.
Right.
And again, no one was turned away.
Okay. The only thing I guess I'd suggest is that periodically, I don't think it has to happen every year, that there is a survey of parents, and maybe it happens with both the parents families that have already had kids participate, so they can sort of give a post-assessment, but then also incoming, and just as a way to continue to kind of receive feedback, and maybe you'll get some of that option about, staying local. I don't know, but I just encourage staff to seek the feedback maybe on a periodic basis, just to understand.
Thank you.
Okay, I will accept a motion, to approve the Philadelphia trip for the 8th grade for the tentative dates of May 19th, 2026 through May 21st, with an estimated cost of $1,175, consistent with policy JJH. Somebody like to make that motion?
So,
Second.
Okay. Member Higgins and Mr. Callahan, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the vice chair votes aye. Thank you.
Great, thanks everybody, appreciate the support.
Thank you, Mr. Marcos.
All right, the next item on our agenda is District Roof Repair Project Update.
All right, this time we'll call Mr. James McSweeney. Provide us an update of where we're at with the NHS roof repair.
My stuff isn't as fun as Mr. Marcos' stuff, unfortunately.
Beg to differ. Just saying. This is a long time coming. It's exciting.
It's exciting stuff, but it's not as fun as his. So we are still plugging away at it. So working with our owner's project manager firm P3 and our engineering firm Gannett Fleming. We're about 90% way through our schematic design, which is a lot of good project we made over the summer. Part of that has been doing a lot of investigation up onto the roofs. We've been on both roofs with both companies and some of their vendors. We've taken core samples of both roofs to see what's in there, what's actually under that top layer of roofing, how much insulation is there, what's under that, doing a lot of the investigation work, leading into some of the MSBA requirements. So some of the new MSBA requirements are for the R values and for the roof thickness for the insulation. we're not there. So what do we have? What's it going to take to get there? And what is the actual curbing around? What's extra going to be taken into consideration when we do have to get up to that point? One of the issues that we're looking at is on the high school roof of the auditorium, if we raise that up the distance that they want, we're going to be bumping up into the bottom sills of the windows that actually look into the third floor because of the way the roof lines line up. So we're going to be talking about new sills for the windows and all new flashing along there, and how do we incorporate all that, as well as looking at the pommels that are up on top. As you can see from the street, some of those are in pretty rough shape, so we're incorporating replacing those and rehabbing any of the ones that can be rehabbed into the project. So we're looking at all that on the high school end. Also part of the high school project that we're looking at is for the MSBA now, they're requiring any roofing project has to be solar ready. So we're looking to see were there ever, and I'm working with Molly Enter from the City Hall on this one, were there ever any surveys or studies done on the high school for doing solar panels? We haven't been able to find anything yet, so if there hasn't been, we might have to do an investigation with that to see is there feasibility of putting solar panels up there at any point. Would it be worth it is the big question. So leading into the Knock-Mullen roof, where we already have a lot of solar panels, we actually were up there with the city wiring inspector and a representative from Amoresco, who actually owns the solar panels that we have the agreement with. And one thing we found out is that all the infrastructure up there is all in really good shape, and the wiring inspector is not going to force us to do any major upgrades or changes to the existing structure or to the existing wiring up there. Amoresco did say that they saw some things that they are going to fix while they're there doing the project. So once all the panels come off, there's some things that they're going to address while they're there before they get put back on. I know one of the big questions about the whole solar panels has been, do we really want to take them off and put them back on where we only have 3 more years left on our contract? One of the things we found that we were up there is all the infrastructure, all the wiring for the panels actually goes off the side of the roof and down into a lower roof before it enters the building. So there won't be any extra penetrations into the new roof for the existing panels. It's more of a pull them off, replace the roof, and then put them back down. So it won't be like we're putting holes in the roof now that we won't be using later for 3-4 years now when we redo the solar panels. So that was a really good find for us. We also did hear back from the MSBA that they do reimburse for the costs associated with removing and replacing the solar panels. So all the investigation work, we're getting some really great news coming back from both the engineering firm and from our OPM and all the vendors that we've been associated with so far. Looking at some dates, so right now we're on schedule to submit our schematic design to the MSBA on October 23rd. We're submitting very early. The vote won't happen until December 12th. In conversations I've had with our OPM firm and the engineering firm is that if we can get the stuff in and get it in early, it gives them a chance to take a look at it and kick it back if they see anything that might cause a problem or that they have questions on. So it puts us in a better position to get that approval at their December 12th meeting. One kind of bad news is some preliminary estimates that we're getting from the engineering firm is that we're looking at about a $4 million cost for both roofs. Initial estimates that I had submitted about a year ago was about 3.8, and that's what I had talked about with the city council. So we're a little low on that, but not too far off, thank God, but we are a little low. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to work through, and we'll be working with the engineering firm and our OPM firm to see how much closer we can bring that down to our initial estimates. But we're on pace and on target so far.
Okay. Questions? Yeah, Member
I just have a
Callahan?
general question. Mr. Mayor, the roof project's been going on forever, right? We know that. Can you comment on the inside part of the building, like the I guess, where on the roof? How do I say this? How bad is
Like the plaster in the auditorium?
it? Say that again?
Like the plaster in the auditorium?
Yeah, not the look of it. That doesn't really concern me. Can you go into a little bit of what is happening if there is a big rainstorm? Like how much water is coming in to the building, and are students affected by it at all?
Not so much, no. We've had some really good success with our maintenance staff going up and patching small holes and doing minor repairs to keep that water infiltration out of the buildings. There's a few small leaks here that we're still kind of trying to track down and get through while we're going through this process. But we don't have, water gushing through and waterfalls in the building.
So you wouldn't say that students are being made wet by...
No, if that was happening, I'd be answering a lot more questions, I think.
Okay. I just want to confirm that. I knew that was the answer. I just want to have you say it on television.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Member Hall.
I'm interested in a little bit more of the timeline, assuming that they vote to approve the design on December 12th. What would happen next?
So the next step would be to go into the full design and have the full construction documents. And right now, our schedule, we get approval in December. Our plan is to have full documents ready to be put out to bid by the beginning of February. So if that can happen, we're still on schedule for construction next summer.
And then, is it feasible to do that over the summer and
Yes.
not disrupt regular school operations? And wonderful. Thank you.
It would.
Okay.
The plan in working with our OPM firm and the engineering firm is that once we have a finalized last day of school and the teachers are out, it'll be a day, 2 days right after we'll be right in there with equipment. And there'll probably be some preliminary work that'll happen after that. If we can put some staging up on the backside of the knock where guys can get up on the roof and start doing some preliminary work and doing minor things that aren't going to impact the students or impact the school
Great.
day. We'll start doing those to kind of jump the gun a little bit, but yeah.
Thank you.
On the solar, so the solar consideration, you're also looking at the high school for solar potentially?
So, like I said, part of the MSBA project, when you're doing any roof with the MSBA, you have to look at being solar ready.
Right.
That's one of their firm requirements, to actually just send out a notification about that. So, right now, the high school doesn't have any solar.
Right.
So, we'll be looking at primarily that front portion where we're putting the new roof on to see if putting solar up there would even do anything, right? Sometimes, you do a survey and they say, you know what, even if you could put solar up here, you wouldn't really gain anything. So that's one of the things we're going to be reaching out to a firm and have them come to a survey of the high school and say, should we put solar up here? Can we put solar up here? What would it do for us?
Yeah.
And that's, again,
And
one of the requirements.
and forgive me for being ignorant about the knock situation, but I know a different company owns the panels.
Yes.
Do we lease those panels, or do they just install them and then give us a set rate for the electricity or something, like some kind of agreement? Do you know the agreement?
I'm not 100% familiar with the contract.
Okay.
Obviously, I've done it before I was here.
That's fine.
I do know that we pay them a monthly fee based on how much we generate.
Right. Yeah, so you get I think my understanding is you typically get a guaranteed rate, but we can look into it, but that you get a sort of that's part of the agreement for having the solar panels, you get a guaranteed rate so that if it fluctuates, it doesn't matter.
The only part of that we're still trying to evaluate with the MSBA is in our contract, it does state that if the panels are down for any period of time, we're responsible for whatever they would have generated in that period of time.
Oh, interesting.
So, we're only looking at about 20% of the total solar array on that roof, so it is a small portion of the total array. But again, we're working with Amoresco, who is the owners of the array, and the MSBA. We're trying to figure out what that's going to be.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear what the conclusion is on the high school, because I feel like, if we can make it a win-win, it would be great. And then just on the approval process, so the MSBA will go through their approval. What step do we and the city council play going forward?
So once we get a full picture of what the financial cost is going to be, a full estimate for this project, we'll be going to the city council for their vote to fully fund the project, and that will hopefully happen before the MSBA votes.
Okay, so sometime in the fall.
Yes.
Okay. And we don't have to. I'm sure you'll keep us posted that there's no approval for us in that. Okay. All right. Questions? Yes. Somebody? Yes, Mr. Broker.
Yeah, so the final construction timeline, so next summer, 2026, presumably you could start right after school and you'd be done well before school started.
Yes. Yeah, we're very lucky. The high school it's a fairly small roof, so that it won't take much time at all. It'll be, most of the time it's actually going to be in the setup and the tear down. Once the guys get up there and they start tearing that roof apart and laying it down, they'll move very, very quickly. We'll probably even work with whatever company gets it. We'll probably work with them on a staging area where they can even start getting materials on site before they get up there, so they're not waiting around for stuff to arrive. If we can get the insulation panels and the roofing materials and all that stuff ahead of time and store it, out by the stadium in the back or somewhere out of sight and out of the way of the students, we'll work with them on doing that.
That's great, thank you. I hope it continues to go so well.
Yeah, me too.
Other questions? All right, thank you for the update. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, item number 8 tonight is the superintendent's 2025 evaluation discussion. As I mentioned, the mayor was unable to attend today, so he shared a quick update, which is that he has received all of the evaluations, probably not as in timely a way as we had all hoped, but he has them, and will provide a summary for us in advance of our next meeting. And so we'll be able to review those, and then we'll have a discussion and ultimately a recommendation on the final evaluation for next meeting. So a little bit delayed. I advised the superintendent this is going to happen, and hopefully he's understanding. But we will have more. And as a reminder, all of our discussions and the evaluations are all public domain, so we will make that available for folks once we've made had the final discussion next meeting. Any questions on that front? Member
Is
Hall?
that something that we vote on? I just don't recall.
It's I think I think there's a recommended overall evaluation that we collectively vote on. Yes.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on that one? All right. And then the final version of the district improvement plan.
Yeah. So district improvement plan, we've actually presented this a couple times. In our last meeting, there was some feedback and changes that we did incorporate some of those. I think the big piece was the titles up top, the action steps and strategic activities, to make those really clear. And then obviously the outcome and the measurable evidence columns. So when you read through the document, I think it's pretty clear for everybody. The other piece too is working through this document. I believe we're comfortable. Obviously we have the academic pieces of it. The math, literacy, playful learning, the CTE, and the pathways is really driving the academic piece. And then when we broke down the superintendent's evaluation, but also these are the things that we're going to be doing to support the initiatives of increase in the math and the literacy goals, along with the playful learning and pathways. So when we looked at the instructional leadership, I know as we went through these, we felt like, there could be too much here. But as we were developing the district goals, we kind of almost backwards designed. Basically, it's hey, here are the academic goals. These are the things that we really need to do to support that. And so we feel pretty comfortable achieving this, or at least our idea is when you're looking at the goals, we all look at where do we stand. Remember, it's a 2-year plan, so after year 1, did we meet the goals? Did we make significant progress, some progress, or limited progress? And I think that would be for school committee, superintendent, and the leadership team. But we feel like it's really important for that second half of the district improvement plan, that how are we going to support these academic goals? So and we feel pretty comfortable with that, and appreciate the support and input from school committee. But we think this is a pretty comprehensive plan for the next 2 years, with mid-year and annual updates of kind of where we're at and where we're heading. The other piece too is we really also have tied this to the strategic planning and moving forward. So we feel like it's a pretty good plan for the district, and then also you'll see some through lines when the school improvement plans are presented to you all. So you'll see, like the Bresnahan, you'll see the, playful learning, you'll see vertical math team and things like that, so. But I think, we're really comfortable with where we're at with the district improvement plan for the 25 through 22, 27 years.
Okay. And so, just to clarify, you anticipate, you mentioned giving some updates on a periodic basis.
Yep.
So midway through the year, and I would anticipate that.
End of the year,
And then the end of the year?
executive summary of
Okay.
kind of where we're at and where we're landing.
So I think in response to some of the feedback you got, and also just generally how we are supposed to be evaluating these, just when you do those report outs, be thinking about the SMART criteria, using measurable kind of data that we can kind of respond to when we see those updates. And I think you do that. Just a reminder that that's probably a really important part of those periodic updates is providing the data and sort of showing how you're measuring success or lack of success, progress. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Other questions or feedback? Okay. Yeah, so I think this is helpful, and we'll see this informing the school improvement plans that we'll be hearing about
And I also
in the
just
next
want
few
to
months.
thank the school committee, because I think this was probably, as we went through this process, I think it was a collaborative effort. We started talking about district improvement plan during our retreat. We came up with the draft, we got input. So I think community-wise, we're all feeling pretty good, especially about the process.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think for the first few years after the strategic plan, we've been really using that as our district improvement goal guidance document. I think now we're starting to get sort of into that we have a strategic plan, but this is where the rubber hits the road, and we start to think how this filters down into more concrete specifics as we get further along in the time frame. And I would say too, I think it does, as we saw when we did our school committee goal setting, there's some correlation there between what we're trying to achieve as a body as well as what the district specific goals for the district.
I would agree.
Any other questions or comments from members?
I think it looks great, so thank you for all your work and feedback and taking our feedback. I know there's a lot of iterations of this document, but it looks great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a collaborative effort. I got a great team there too. So, and I also will credit the curriculum subcommittee. I think that's also been helpful. Those informal meetings and feedback there has been beneficial to all of us. So we're ready to go. 2-year plan. Here we go.
Good. All right. Okay, and so just as a reminder, the warrant vote was postponed. I trust everybody had a chance to review that. So turn it over to you, Member Callahan.
All right. I move that the following named bills of the Newburyport Public Schools amounting in the aggregate $771,123.16 be approved and forwarded to the city auditor for payment. There are no conflicts.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. All right. So on to subcommittee updates. Any updates from you, Mr. Callahan?
Yes, Finance Subcommittee met on September 18th, last Thursday. Had a double header with Communications Committee right after. The thing we talked about the most was the budget timeline. We discussed plans for a listening session in October or November, which will be discussed by the Communications Subcommittee to figure out what those dates are going to be. Did a quick fundraising update. There's really nothing to say about that. It's all on the school district website. And then Mr. Boger had asked about staffing patterns, which are pretty much holding steady. And then for other business, which doesn't have much to do with Finance Subcommittee, I had suggested that the 2 new members coming onto the board, that we do an orientation type of thing with them, a formal meeting, at a point to be determined.
Yeah.
But
and
after the election, of course.
Sure. And
Possibly before the inauguration.
okay. Anything else you wanted to add? I'm just joking. Yeah, I agree, and I think I'm going to be, one of the things I'm going to be working on over the next few months is just trying to, and with the superintendent's help, sort of pull together a packet of information. I know it may be electronic, it may be Word, it may be paper, or both, but depending on preference. But so I'll be seeking input from others. I think it'd be great to have that just be a information we hand to every new member, but also there might be other members here who could use that. We never got that. So
Who are you looking at?
No, I'm including myself in this. Anyway, so I'll be working on that. I think the other thing, just to add to your great summary, was that we will be providing, we will be doing quarterly financial updates.
Yes.
That will include it in the packet. So it's basically what we would normally talk about at the finance subcommittee, but we'll also share that with the full subcommittee. And it's sort of just a quick snapshot of where we are, is my anticipation. It's a quick snapshot of where we are with the budget and how we're tracking overall. So I think a couple months from now. So you'll be seeing that. All right, thank you, Member Callahan. Policy Subcommittee, Member Shaw.
So next Monday, the 29th, at 7 at Central Office.
Great.
And we'll be kicking it off for the year.
Great, awesome, thank you.
There may be treats involved.
Oh,
if anyone wants to come.
wow, okay, that's enticement. And Member Hall, Communications.
So as Mr. Callahan said, we had our doubleheader, so communications met last Thursday at 10 o'clock, and we did pick up the conversation around the budget listening session. I think we were in agreement that we were happy with the way we structured it last year and would like to do something similar. We were looking at November 3rd, I believe. Is that getting some nods? So that's good.
Okay.
That is the night before the election day, which means we'll be in the library, and we all felt that that was actually a nice space for it, the way we used the space between the bookshelves and set that up ahead of time.
Okay.
We were thinking of starting that at 6, which may be a little later than we did last time, and then bump the meeting to 7, maybe 7:30. We can discuss.
Okay.
And we were also hoping that perhaps a lighter agenda that night. I know that's not always within your control, but right. And we talked about how we'll promote this, just make sure that it's, various groups are invited. I know last time there were special invitations to the city councils, to the superintendent's council. Just make sure we really get the word out and get some nice attendance at that event. In other news, we talked about continuing the newsletter in January when I'm no longer on the committee. There's definitely a feeling that that has value and should continue. I've been trying to streamline how I do it, and I work with Julia Olson, who's the communications specialist. Do I have the title right? Yeah, she's terrific. And so I'm happy to train and pass the torch on that.
Great.
When whoever we identify to take that on.
Okay, super.
And then we were also saying that we feel that there could be, this could be a good time to perhaps sunset this committee at the end of this year. We were talking about different ways to connect with City Council, which has always been the challenge. Member Callahan is definitely going to be on the City Council and has some ideas about a quarterly ad hoc. We were also looking at the General Government Committee description, which does say that it's a liaison. That hasn't come to fruition yet, but we're hopeful about that. So I think, we can talk about maybe November, December, putting this on our agenda as a topic for discussion.
That makes sense. And yeah, I think I think we did originally form this committee as sort of a temporary committee.
We had.
So if your subcommittee could develop a few recommendations or guidance for the
Absolutely.
general committee to consider, I think that makes sense. And then we can have a conversation. We can always revive it if we need to in the future, if that's the recommendation of the subcommittee.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee, Member Higgins.
We will have our first meeting in January.
January, wow.
I guess I'm not done.
October.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Great.
Have you targeted a date for that yet, or maybe you can reach out to us?
Yeah, I'll send out an email. I was thinking the week of 13th.
Okay.
That where either 14th, 15th, or 16th work for people?
Can take a look. Or you can, I mean, you can always email.
I'll send an email after this, and you can take a look at your schedule.
Oh, wait, we're talking about, okay. Yeah, actually, so the 13th is is holiday.
Yeah.
And there's a candidate forum on the 14th, so
Okay.
that's definitely
Okay, good to know.
going to be a conflict date. 15th or 16th works for me.
Okay.
Is the Wednesday a problem for you?
That Wednesday, yeah, second Wednesday of the month I have.
Okay. Actually, that's the third Wednesday.
Is it? Oh,
Mhm.
well, then I'm good. 15 or
Okay,
16.
so we'll
Okay, thank
target the 15th? Is that what we just said, the 15th?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be
All right,
great.
I'll target that. I'll send an email to confirm.
Make sure that
Thank
works
you.
for staff. Okay, thanks everyone. So our superintendent's report.
All right. Yeah, Zero the Hero was here. It's we had a lot of fun that day.
Yeah.
So I'll do that one first since it's the picture here. So Zero the Hero visited the kindergarten classes on day 10 and really talked about, that's the NEAS, that's Zero. And really just talked, got the kids really excited about the beginning of school. They've been in school for 10 days and how he's going to be coming back on the 100th day. And every kindergarten class, the traditional, they do that countdown to the 100th day, and it's a big deal. So that was a lot of fun with the kids. So the next part is our upcoming NEAS visit for the high school, and I think you all got that email. So as you know, the high school has been working with NEAS. This is the 10th year, the annual visit. The high school faculty sports staff, they did their self-reflection, self-review, and then New England Association of Schools and Colleges came back with the priority goals. So when they come into the district, these are the goals that they're going to be evaluating for 3 days, working with the high school, the teachers, obviously interviewing school committee, central office, and so Mr. Wolf and his team done a great job up to this point, and they're ready for this visit. And those are I won't read you all of those, they're in the packet, but you can just tell all the work that's been going on at the high school. The other piece that I also provided is the foundational standards for NEASC, and that's for the high schools and colleges throughout New England who get accredited by NEASC. So some high standards there for everyone to be working towards. What's really nice about this too is the whole idea of the portrait of the graduate, which really applied, for high school back then, but we took a whole new approach with our strategic plan. And if you're reading in education right now throughout the country, there's this idea of portrait of a graduate K to 12 schools. So what I really want to emphasize is I really believe we took these high standards that really apply to high school and kind of had the idea of looking across the district. Developed our portrait of a graduate, not just for the 4 years of high school, but really taking an approach from like pre-K all the way to grade 12. So this is the work we've been doing for the strategic plan that, obviously we talk about all the time, but you'll start seeing a trend with a lot of the states that are actually implementing this idea of a portrait of a graduate, really having the student college and career ready by the time they graduate in states and districts. So I think all of this work that we've been doing as a district is obviously is incredible, but it's also, I think, we're ahead of the curve a little bit because you're going to start seeing this type of work being done throughout the country. And some states have already adopted this as their, instructional practice to start looking at this. So we're excited about this visit, and we've done a lot of great work, and I'm really happy for the high school, Mr. Wolf, all the work that they've done in working with this committee. Then they'll come back and they'll give recommendations of kind of where we're landing in those 6 focus areas that NEASC has identified. then the Education Commonwealth Project, I laughed because I started reading this. So Peter Mass is going to consult, who's going to help us worry about the district CPA baseline data. So I was like, oh, it's, I don't know, is that an omen maybe? I don't know.
Can you just clarify what the
Yes,
ECP
his
stands for?
work, he is
Educational
working,
Commonwealth.
he's not worrying with us, he's working with the district on
Got it.
baseline data. That really cracked me up. But basically, it's not only is this just the whole idea of this, and we've done the presentation for the school committee, is really how do you identify, when you're talking, we have a good culture, a good environment, kids are thriving, how do you really identify that? So working with Educational Commonwealth Project, it's not only just them doing surveys, it's really us breaking it down school by school, looking at the questions, taking a deep dive from the principals all the way to the teacher leaders and all the way to the faculty. So throughout the summer we did a training, with the extended leadership team. Peter's come in, he's working with each school building administrators right now and also the teacher leaders. And then for each school, we're sending a team of teachers and administrators for training. It's going to be like train the trainer. So as we're developing this data, it's having the principals and teacher leaders fully understand what the data is showing and really how to break it down and then communicate it with the rest of the faculty. So I just want to say that, the work that's going into this is really incredible, and our teachers are alongside with the administrators and getting the training. So I think our teachers see the value of this type of data and how to really show it. So this is also a big piece of our district improvement plan, and then developing those measurable goals, taking a look at a lot of those. So that has been something that's been ongoing. Peter's already been to the schools and working with the administrators at part of the early release. He was doing some of that work too. The NHS Media Lab is in progress in the sense of the last piece of that is the lighting that needs to go up in the studio. It's already operational. We already have the students in there utilizing the technology that's in there, and we're just waiting for that final piece is the media studio where there'll be a live broadcast. If you visit the high school, and maybe we could set up some time for the school committee to look not only at the media lab, but there's screen TVs in the library, in the hallways that we can, the students will be able to broadcast a lot of the live shows that they're doing. This also, what we love about this too, as you all know, this will be a pathway that we're developing. So it'll be a media productions and broadcasting pathway that we're applying for this year. So students will get certified in that vocational piece. And it also ties in with the idea of that digital portfolio that we want all students to have. So they'll also be able to utilize this studio too. It's not just geared for one class. It's really opened up for multiple ways of communication for all of our content areas. So this is going to be, a wonderful addition to the high school, and obviously the NEF has funded like $325,000 for this project. We also want to credit James McSweeney, our maintenance team, and our team because we've done a lot of in-kind contribution to the project. James and the team, we did the demolition. Matt Gallant has been instrumental with the HVAC. That's his certification. So he ended up working on the air vents and things like that, which saved us a lot of money. So it was a great team effort with the NEF and our team, and it's being named after Cindy Johnson. It'll be the Cindy Johnson Media Lab. So, and that ribbon cutting is October 28th.
Do you have a time?
I believe it's going to be 5 o'clock, but I can send out an email to everyone.
Great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, just a follow-up question on
Sure.
the ECP. So the data, the base data is developed through sort of a lot of different means, right?
Yep.
But there's some of that is seeking input from the both the teachers and the families, or just teachers?
Right now, it was teachers and students, and
Okay.
then they're developing the parent survey.
Okay.
We didn't do the parent survey yet. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's part of this process.
Right.
Taking a look at the questions for the faculty and students, and then developing a parent community survey.
Okay.
That's
So
next.
the teachers have taken that survey. Have they seen any results from that yet, or is that part of what
That's
you're
part of
working
this
on
training
now?
right now.
Okay.
So right now, the extended leadership team, along with the administrators, along with the teacher leaders, are working with Peter on going through the data so they fully understand it first, and then they'll be presenting it as a team to each faculty.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. And then the NEASC, because I can't say that, whatever. however-
NEASC.
I don't know, it
Yeah.
doesn't come out of my
New England
mouth
Association
correctly.
of Schools and Colleges.
This is a voluntary thing that we have been doing for a number of years, correct?
Yeah,
Or is
all schools.
So all Commonwealth schools or all schools?
There's over 4,000 colleges and universities.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the your certification, your accreditation, like you're an accredited. So I would say almost every high school.
Does this?
Does
It's not
this.
like we just opt in.
No,
Most
this
places
is-
do
yeah.
this. Okay, got
Yeah.
it, got it. Okay. Any other questions for the superintendent?
And the way this works too is like when you're looking at, so let's say you're looking at colleges and we'll just use Harvard for example, but everyone around the country is applying. So people from Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, everyone in the world is applying. So one of the first things when they look at the college acceptance, or the people that are going to be making these decisions, the first thing they look, is this an accredited school or university to accept credits? So it's really utilizing NEASC is like that stamp of approval. So, if I'm applying to Alabama, they may not know NEASC, but they know it's an accredited affiliation. So when they see Newburyport High School, they know it's an accredited institution.
Got it.
So that's how that works.
Okay. Anything else?
I just want to point out the NEF met last week and we did the tour of the Media Lab. And one thing that was very cool is that there was one of the companies involved in the construction had to bow out of the construction like at the last minute. So Matt, what's his last name? I'm sorry. Matt, our guy.
Our guy.
Yeah.
Matt Gallant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reached out to, and I have to apologize. I remember
local.
one was Caswell Construction, and the second company, I forget their name. I apologize. Those two guys who own those companies turned around and donated $5,000 each to this project because they were alums.
Great. That's nice.
Super cool, and that puts the project either at or under budget.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah. Good point.
Very cool. Okay, any new business? All right, well then I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks everyone.